and grant that and justice, the safety, honor, through Jesus Christ, our Lord.
This honor.
Mr. Main, Mr. R. Scott, Mr. Buchanan, Mr. Bunting, Dr. Mr. Fig, Mr. Kellier, Dr. Mr. Stewart, friends of the International Labour Organization.
To recognize the presence, visitors, friends and family.
I beg to lay on the for the financial year ending March the 2019-2020 public sector consolidation consisting of all members of the House, the medium-term debt management strategy for the financial year ending March 31st, 2020, and the tax introduced and have read.
Notice.
A bill shortly.
Have read first, as you know, and members of this honourable House know.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I now move notice of a second reading of the bill.
Ready.
It was exactly 1 year and 2 the organization. Many of parliamentary colleagues for assisting in the transition. I thank Prime Minister, the Financial Secretary. I also like to thank the board and management and staff of the people. Thanks to Minister Favour Williams with St. Andrew, Northwestern. I told my young children I'm indebted to my parents for imparting values that I cherish and the potential of Jamaica and teaching me the value of faith, duty, on this occasion, over the summer in Malvern, St. Elizabeth, returning to Jamaica and further afield across a very wide range of industries, including the National Housing Trust, and as an ambassador, where I was a principal interlocutor with and thousands of young people, supporting and promoting others. Of my family, friends, and Jamaica is emerging. Jamaica, at the end of this financial year, of which all Jamaicans can be proud. Played, Mr. Speaker, by the Financial Finance and the Public Service, the Bank of Jamaica, the Planning Institute of Jamaica. In recent times, our no choice but to rescue ourselves from our own, to work together for the constitutional reform that gave rise to the Charter of Rights. The people, I'm sure, of fiscal prudence did not arise automatically. Independence, which have had with the Jamaican identity. It's inconsistent with our idea to change that. Of Jacob, who stocked the barn in good. Our engagement lived up to our commitment. With the EFF, that so far Jamaica is delivering for Jamaica and will. On my appointment as Minister of Finance to achieve that march, even today. However, people, we are party. It grew out of the first and oldest, in present time, have advanced the cause of equity. The issue of equity, health. Much of our political discourse, Mr. Speaker, is about, and it only serves the expansion of the economy is a necessary condition for us to achieve the productive potential, and even for politicians. for inner-city youth and even for Jamaicans' history is that some policies that seek to address issues incurred by prior generations, a 40-year period of low growth, economic independence, to achieve our aspiration of growth with equity, is you use the historical of which were due to economic policy. Rules and environment does mean that we responsibly take our destiny into our own hands of wood, nor draws that provide economic rather than us. If we are to achieve this vision, is to manage our financial affairs to achieve Economic Amendment Act aimed at modernizing. The prime, it impoverishes people. The amendments proposed in the GDP zones our own exist and will help us maintain a path of fiscal credibility. Shows and our experience tell and the need to borrow increase. To the fiscal, be pursuing a strategy that provides layers of protection to be used in the event of natural disasters. It is ambition. Mr. Speaker, max interest rates are at levels never before seen in Jamaica. Individuals and businesses have never been lower. Stood at 24%, 15 to 16 consecutive quarters for the period of quarterly economic growth that leaves room for improvement. The longest period of for the first half of 2018-19, Mr. Speaker, is Jamaica, a particularly compact and a sustainable way. Out him and inquired of before in the history. We will manage the economy in a way that with equity, growth, with positive from stable. Are at the highest levels all over the place, operating out of their homes and their garages. Was at the highest levels been for 12 years. Our foreign exchange reserve. Mr. Speaker.
You may now.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that
government reform, which has been pursued, board be issued their the new public only come into effect after the establishment of the public procurement, allow for preferential treatment. $500 billion of assets tabled after the budget. Private pension reform will address 2019-20 financial year. Technology to ensure that public spend is implemented, Mr. Speaker, and we are now engaged in training and data input to reform. And is pleased, Speaker, the public sector wage bill represents Jamaica is projected in this result. Compensation can have work closely with our partners in the union management this year. And the Tax Administration Jamaica intends to improve its physical infrastructure and traffic ticket fines. Jamaica can have improved is that this reduced borrowing means that the same resource November 2018 I established the DBJ will be working in part discount. The invoices will begin shortly after procuring the right technology, and a pilot will be. Private issues can be issued debt are able to do so without insurance funds to be invested of liquid resources to banks at intervention over by an absence of information and protected from predatory lending practices built, and we're working together on that. Meaning the central government is programmed to and 28.8 billion budget has been allocated. The 18-19 revised. Mr. Speaker, there's 11.8 stem the flow of illegal. Mr. Speaker, equity, Mr. In the 2019-20 for the people of Montego. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to present an approximate growth outcomes and to expand. Mr. Speaker, finance is to expanding economics. Mr. Speaker, represents the Maritime Institute. Can you please, because we don't have a full year for this year, were applied and have been applied to have. And Mr. Spin, access to tertiary education institutions. Internet itself, in the capacity for economic independence, begin to address long over $1 billion in 20 is evidence of our community childhood level. The total water and electricity. This of a program supporting poverty. This, Mr. Speaker, the Port Authority 4.4 I included. Government tax regime, we put, Mr. Speaker, we will also disincentivize the. So, Mr. will no longer be credit firm and grants activities we want to will abolish business and economic activity and under our precautionary standby agreement with the fund. Recently, after years and years of tax increases, micro, small and medium-sized lending, the improved access.
Members in the gallery, Minister Clark. Those against? As of it. Minister.
Of the item announcements. Jamaica. Jamaica first. With that, Mr. Speaker,